What's going on, guys? It's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and today I'm coming at you with my locks and traps for UFC Rio. You guys know the deal. We're going to break down every single fight on this card, and I'm going to rank them from my most confident picks all the way at the very top with the locks, all the way down to my least confident picks at the very bottom with the traps. You guys know the deal. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. Also, I wanted to ask you guys, I got some comments about changing the style up a little bit, so I want to ask you guys your opinions on the different layouts. If you guys like the light mode like this, let me know in the comments, or also, we're doing the first one, or the first time we're going to do it in dark mode. We got this version is the light, the original. We got this like black one with the blue on the side. And we also got this black on black one. So we're going to do the dark one, dark mode theme, I guess, for this one. If you guys like it, let me know in the comments. I'll have a little comment so you guys can like vote on it or something, because I want to see your guys' feedback. If you like the dark style better, we'll keep it. If you guys like the light style better, we'll do that too. I just wanted to get your guys' feedback on this. So let me know if you like it. We're going to do this first one in dark. So anyway, let's get into these fights. First up, we got Ramos versus Ofli. Now, this is a weird one. I got it as a low confidence pick, because if you look at these two guys, neither of them really stand out as being anything great. You got Ramos on one end, who really is a bit of a button masher, Xbox controller. He's spamming X. Like, he's trying to throw flashy shit, and a lot of times he can get caught for it. It's just, he's not really a bread and butter, stick to the basics type of guy, especially when you're betting. That's someone you probably want to avoid. I got him as the pick this week just because we haven't seen anything from Ofli. We haven't seen him have any success in the UFC so far, which at least with Ramos, we've seen he's had a pretty long career. He's had a lot of fights in the UFC, so we know that he can hang, he can get wins against guys that are UFC level caliber. He's well-rounded everywhere. He has that black belt in BJJ, so he can hang on the ground. His striking's decent, although he goes for some flashy bullshit. At times, it can be a little bit rough to watch, but at the same time, we know he has the skill set to hang pretty much everywhere. And in this one, it's like, I can't really pick Ofli because he hasn't really shown us he's had any level of success in the UFC. We still don't even know if this guy can hang here or not yet. I don't think he's bad by any means. It's just a matter of where his level's at. And now he has to fight a guy in Rio. He's fighting the Brazilian in Brazil. It's not going to help him at all in this. Now, the odds in terms of the betting, I could see either guy winning this fight. If Ramos found a way to shit the bed, I would not be completely surprised. I was completely fading the hell out of him against Chepe, so I am not the biggest Ramos supporter. I don't think he's any world beater. And the thing about Ramos, though, is he's kind of switched up his style a little bit. He has been more of a, I don't want to say journeyman, part-timer, but he is going to the fighting nerds now where he's training. So hopefully, maybe especially with his game plans, if he can just kind of avoid some of the stupid shit, stick to a more fundamental approach to this fight, he can have a lot of success. He can use that range well. He can keep the distance, strike from range. And at that point, Ofli, what is he going to do? I don't know. I just don't see a path for him to win, especially with the crowd going crazy for Ramos in this one. I like Ramos, but low confidence pick just because I don't think either of these guys are all that great. But at least with Ramos, we've been able to see, all right, he can get some wins in the UFC. He has some decent ground game, so I'm not worried about him there. But anything could happen. So that does it for this one. Next up, we got Polastri versus Karolina. I cannot even pronounce her last name. My pronunciation's so damn bad. So we're saying Karolina. Now, Polastri, if you would have asked me this like before her fight against Lupi, I would not have been this confident. And this is one of the fights where I've gotten more and more and more confident as this week has gone on. Now, with Polastri, she's crazy. She's a crash out. She wants to keep it on the feet. And you might be asking, like, why the hell would I have this as a high confidence pick? She really hasn't been able to shine in the UFC so far. I picked against her in her last fight against Lupi. But that last fight against Lupi really showed to me this girl has potential, man. They got her on this card for a reason. The crowd's going to be going absolutely insane for her. And I know I'm not basing the pick off what I think the crowd is going to say about her. It is that we know this fight is going to stay on the feet. We have seen with Julia Polastri, her only weaknesses. She got screwed in the grappling by Lupi, and then when she was going against Josephine Knudsen, she wasn't able to hang in the striking. Before that fight, Josephine was undefeated, and the only girl who has beaten Josephine in the UFC was I'm forgetting her name. But he was able to take her down and grapple her. I was looking at that fight earlier. She got like 8-something takedowns. I'm blanking on her damn name, but you know who I'm talking about. So that's the only time we've seen Josephine Knudsen lose a fight is when she got grapple fucked. And that type of girl like Julia, she was trying to initiate some of the grappling. She went for some takedowns of her own, but that's just not her game plan. She wants to keep it on the feet. She wants to make it ugly. So we've seen her struggle there when she was against that undefeated kickboxer who's actually pretty damn good on the feet. And we also saw her struggle against Lupi, who was really trying to land takedowns. But I'll tell you what, in that fight, Julia looked really good. I had money on Loopy, and I remember watching that third fight, or the third round of that fight live, and I was sitting there like, oh my goodness, she might just come back and pull this one out. She just has no quit to her. She doesn't stop. She's just going to keep walking you down. She's going to have the power advantage in this fight. She's not going to stop, and this is going to be a striking match too. Like, I was looking up the stats in terms of Karolina's grappling, because it's not great, and I was like, all right, like, I just want to see, like, from the numbers standpoint, because I know she wants to keep it on the feet, but I was like, all right, what are her damn takedowns numbers looking? Sorry, my thing's not loading, but it's god awful with these numbers. I think it was something like a 20% takedown accuracy. She's not even landing 0.5 takedowns per 15 minutes on average. And we know that, but it just kind of confirms our beliefs on that. It's like, okay, there we go. I get 0.31 takedowns landed per 15 minutes with a 22% takedown accuracy. We know Karolina is not going to be taking this to the ground. And now, look at her age. She turns 40 in, 6 days? So she turns 40 on October 15th. So she's approaching 40. This is going to be a striking back and forth between two girls who are not, neither of them have been world beaters, but at least we know this is going to be a striking match on the feet. Julia Polastri is going to be ahead in the striking. It's just purely, even if it's the speed and power, that's all it's going to matter here. This is going to be a back and forth striking match. And at 40, I do not trust the speed, the reflexes, and the instincts of Karolina, who has not looked good. She got absolutely ragdolled by Lucinda. I don't want to say ragdolled, but she got messed up by Lucinda. And then after that, she got messed up by Diniz Gomez too. So it's like these back-to-back losses. And then before that, I was looking through her wins too. I was like, before that, Diana Belbita, she's cut from the UFC at least, or she's on a 3-fight losing streak. This was the point I want to put up. I almost forgot to say this. All of her opponents that she's beaten in recent years have been on 3-fight losing streaks, or I think the one exception was Vanessa Demopoulos, I believe. Sorry, my internet is being so damn slow. It's not loading. But Vanessa Demopoulos, I'm pretty sure she's won in. No, okay, no. She's on a 3-fight losing streak. It's not Diana Belbita. She just got messed up. Submitted by Dunia Barbosa. I remember that not too recently. Maybe it's Silvana Gomez Juarez. Maybe it was her. I don't know. It was one of these that I was looking. I was like, the last 4 wins that Karolina's had, they've all been on 3-fight skids and cut from the promotion. Or okay, it was Silvana Gomez Juarez. She's 1-3 in the UFC, hasn't fought since 2022, but she did have her second most fight was a win. But besides her, all of her most 3 recent wins have all been girls on losing skids or completely cut, or at least with Julia Polastri. She lost to Lupi Godinez, who's really putting her career together. You know, she's had some dumb fight IQ mistakes in the past, but she's kind of starting to really patch her career. You know, she's kind of on the second run, and even she's young, so like it's not like she's making a huge comeback, not like a Volkanovski level thing, but it's more so of like, all right, she's trying to piece the puzzle pieces together, you know, and it's a totally different level of fighter here. Now, the thing about Julia Polastri too is after that, she had the win against Corey McKenna, and I know some people were saying, oh, well, you know, she had the split decision against her, you know, that's a bad look. I don't think it was a split decision. I think it was kind of wild that it was a split decision. So I'm like, she really did mess her up. I mean, if you look in that, she doubled her significant strikes. You know, she outstruck her 88-40 in that fight. If you want to count the one takedown that Corey McKenna had, fine. But I'm not looking at that as a split, as like a red flag. I think more so of like, I think she pretty clearly won that fight. So I like Julia a lot in this spot. You know, the thing about this one too, being in Brazil, the reason why I have this as one of my highest confident picks is because purely of this being in Brazil too. You just have to imagine, like there's certain fights where, like an example I could think of is like Jose Aldo versus Bautista. I know it wasn't in Brazil, but the crowd obviously is rooting for Jose Aldo. Now, there's a difference of the crowd reaction of where Jose Aldo is getting pushed against the cage and the crowd goes crazy when he creates some space, when he doesn't get taken down. That's different. You know, that's more like you're celebrating a man not get taken down. That's not really going to affect the judging in their criteria. You know what I mean? That's not going to affect their decision making when they're scoring these fights. If this type of a fight where the crowd is going to be going nuts, Julia Polastri is going to probably bloodied up. She's going to be smiling and she's going to be walking Karolina down and she's going to be throwing bombs on her. The crowd is going to go absolutely ape shit crazy, and I can imagine every single strike that Julia Polastri lands is going to have an absolute roar from this crowd. And like, this is one of the fights where I think if there's any crowd influence on the scorecards, I think this is a guaranteed night and day difference. The crowd is going to make a huge difference in this fight. Every single shot that Polastri lands is going to go crazy. She's going to have more power in the hands. If anyone's getting finished here, I know Karolina is pretty damn durable, but if anyone's getting finished here, it's not going to be Julia. Julia Polastri, you got to kill her to get her out of there. All 5 losses by decision. This girl does not quit. You got to kill her. And I know Karolina, she's been finished by some more dangerous level opponents in the past, but at the same time, she's 40 years old now, man. This is not the same person she was 5 years ago. Like, it is a completely different version. So, that being said, I like Julia a lot. I think the crowd's going to be going forward. This is going to be a striking match. There's really no grappling threat from Karolina to slow her down, and they're just going to be going shot for shot and striking. I'm not trusting, and it's not a power game, too. Like, you throw Derek Lewis's old ass against an up-and-comer, like the age difference in that fight against Tyson Teixeira was crazy. And the speed, speed's going to be a factor there, but you got that power. You have the power equalizer. You got 2 ladies. There's really not going to be that power equalizer for Karolina to make it a lot more competitive on the feet. She's going to have to out-volume her way if she's going to beat Julia Polastri in this fight, which I just don't see her doing. I think the volume should be competitive between these 2 girls. I was looking up their different stats, too. It's pretty close, too. Julia Polastri landing 5.62 significant strikes per minute. Karolina, 5.54. The volume's just about tit for tat, just about the exact same. So, and there's just really no way I could see Julia Polastri losing this fight unless she just technically gets completely outstruck across 3 rounds to the point of it not even being close. I mean, like, that's the only reasonable way I see her losing this fight. Karolina's not going to grapple fuck her way to a win. It's going to be on the feet. She's going to have more power against a girl like Karolina. I just, like, the more I look at this, because when I went into this, I was like, damn, that line is wide. That line is wide as shit. Julia Polastri really hasn't had that success in the UFC, Karolina, at least she's been able to hang. The more I look at this, I'm like, this is going to come down to a battle of speed and volume and striking, and I'm going to take the younger girl over the 40-year-old. That's the thing, too. Julia is only 27 years old, I believe. 26, 27, 28, somewhere in there. I'm pretty sure 27. And so she's going to get better and better with every single fight that she has, and she's dedicated. She's committed. She's doing this for a living. Like, I can't say this enough. I like her a lot in this spot. I know the line is extremely wide. It's going to be a ladies WMMA fight that likely goes to a decision if Julia's not able to knock her ass out. So I get it's extremely chalky, but this ain't about the bets. This is about the picks. So I'm very confident in Julia Polastri. I think she gets it done. I think we're going to see the best version of her that we've ever seen. And on the other hand, I think we're going to see the worst version of Karolina that we've ever seen. So confident pick for me is Julia Polastri this week. So next up, we got a trap. We got Alekseeva versus Mesquita. This is just like, what's his name? The damn heavyweights. The guy, I'm blanking on his damn name. It's the heavyweights, the Marcus Buchecha, that motherfucker. It's just like Marcus Buchecha versus Martin Buday. It's just like, this is exactly what this fight reminds me of. Now, Alekseeva is just ass. I know she has these credentials of the Sambo shit, and people are like, well, no, she's super good with the judo too. Like, her throws are crazy good. She can implement the judo. She's done it before. In her last fight, she said, screw that. I'm not doing any of that. So I don't trust her game plan. I don't trust her fight IQ. She's really not that great. I mean, you look at her age to her record, it's not great. She's not really improving anywhere. Now, she hasn't been finished before. So I do have that concern of like, all right, if Mesquita's not able, if I'm saying her name wrong, let me know too. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But if she's not able to get the submission win here, if this is a striking match, Alekseeva has pretty much, her technique is piss, and she's just winging haymakers. I mean, it's not pretty. But at the same time, she's not going against a pretty striker either. It's going to be sloppy as shit on the feet with the striking. I just think at if any point this gets to the ground, at least if Mesquita's not even able to get a submission win, she should be able to control her on the ground. That's at least where I'm going at with this. Like, even if she can't get that sub wrapped up, she can probably win minutes on the ground. She's the Brazilian fighting in Brazil against a Russian. This matchup was made for a reason. They're not giving her a killer. They're not giving her someone who's just a beast. This is a very, very, very winnable matchup for Mesquita. I mean, of any UFC debut, this is probably the best one she could physically have in her hometown going against a Russian and who's really not that great anywhere. I mean, she has the judo background, but that's the thing too. What is she going to do? Is Alekseeva going to land a judo throw? She's going to trip and throw Mesquita to the ground? Is she going to do that? No, she doesn't want to take it to the ground. So I don't know how her judo background is really going to help her here. What is she going to go for? She's going to hip throw her way into a submission. I mean, that just sounds like the stupidest shit ever. And in her last fight, she doesn't want to go to the ground either. So, I mean, there are so many red flags about Alekseeva. Mesquita, yeah, her hands do not look good. Alekseeva, her boxing is a red flag, but at the same time, Mesquita's is even worse. So we got red flag versus red flag, trap for a reason. I'm going to go with Mesquita just because I think if she is able throughout any point of the 15 minutes that this fight goes on, if she's able to take it to the ground, she's going to at least be able to control the position, if not get a submission. I could see her wrapping up a submission, though. At that level of grappling that she has, with those credentials, she should hopefully be able to submit a girl like Alekseeva, who really just is a journeyman, or journeywoman. But I'll take her on the spot, Mesquita, but trap for a reason. We haven't seen her proven against any high-level competition. She did she's fought in LFA a bunch. I think she even was the champion in LFA. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, so it's like she's fought some decent level of competition. But at the same time, who knows if she's UFC ready? We don't really know. We'll have to see. But they're giving her a favorable matchup, I assume, for a reason. So I'm picking Mesquita in this one. But next up, we got Rocha, correct me, it's either way, versus Nicoll. Now, I've pick flipped on this one so many damn times, because on one hand, I think, okay, we got Nicoll. Why was this fight made? Why was this matchup made? Like, I'm really trying to break this down, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You know, I'm like, they got this Rocha kid who's a really great record for his age. 25 years old. I think he's 17-2 now. Great record on paper. And you check it, you break it down, it's like, this guy wants to stand and strike. He wants to keep it on the feet. He wants to box. He wants to keep it on the feet by any means possible. I'm not saying his grappling's bad, because I was looking through his Instagram and I was seeing, all right, what is he doing? He was training with Charles Oliveira. I don't even know if they have him listed on his Tapology as a shoot-a-box guy. Let me check this really quick. He could be there full-time. I thought it was something else. No, Reno Vacal. Right. No, okay, so they don't have him at shooter box. Maybe he was just training temporarily with Charles Oliveira. Maybe that was something temporary. But if you're training with Dude Bronx, I gotta trust your grappling a bit. You know, Nicoll, he definitely has the BJJ black belt. I was looking at his credentials too for Nicoll. He is a second degree black belt. So if anyone's going to be the better grappler here, who has the more dangerous ability on the ground, it's going to be Nicoll. So I do have that worry, because Rocha, the thing that we've seen about him and his recent fights, he does not have good takedown defense. His striking's crisp. He's very fast. He can land nukes on the hands. But in terms of being on the ground, that's where I'm scared. Because I'm like, really, Clayton Carpenter, you compared, like, if you watch that fight back, you got Rocha, and you got Clayton Carpenter. I mean, it looks like a 14-year-old boy versus like a 27-year-old man. I mean, it looks like a fight that shouldn't even be sanctioned. It looks like a jungle fight or demo fight type of like matchup. It looks crazy, even though no, Rocha's good. I'm just talking purely off like how they physically look. So it's just like he's growing into his body. At 25 years old, he has a small frame. He's not very muscular, and I worry about that in the grappling. It really showed in that Clayton Carpenter fight. The striking was very competitive. I mean, if anything, he was winning the striking on the feet. It was just the second Clayton was going for a takedown, he got it. First round, got it, dominated on the ground. Yes, through technique, but also just through manpower. I mean, Clayton Carpenter, very talented, very skilled. It's just, he was able to just dominate his way on the ground. So it's just, Rocha, I don't know how he's going to be able to handle that from a guy like Nicoll. You know, now we did see him get submitted by, what's his name, Jesus Aguilar. And I watched that fight back today, and I was like, you know, that's not really a sign of bad grappling. You know, it's like, because we know he's a second degree black belt. We know Nicoll has the grappling accolades. We know that he's good. We know he's fine on the ground. It was more so he just made a mistake. He just got caught. And it wasn't like he like shot a random takedown and threw himself into a guillotine. They were scrambled on the ground, and he was actually winning at first against Jesus Aguilar on the ground. He was winning the exchanges. They were scrambling. They got around. He got to a top position, went in for a takedown on the ground. It wasn't even a takedown. He was just trying to get control of him on the ground, and he ended up getting caught in the guillotine against the guy who's literally the guillotine fucking merchant. I mean, he's like Jesus Aguilar. We know his little short T-Rex arms are made for guillotines. That's exactly what he does. So on one hand, you could say, well, he knew that and he still got caught in the trap. But I don't really look at it like that. I look at it more so as, all right, he just got caught by a guy by his best move. The dude, Jesus Aguilar's best submission is his guillotine. He just got caught by it. Maybe you could say UFC debut jitters. Like, you could say whatever. I'm not really even saying that. I'm just more so saying two guys were scrambling, both high-level grapplers. One got caught. I think the same thing could happen here. You know, Rocha, I could see him having success on the feet. I could see him winning all the striking battles, but all it takes is one takedown. If it gets to the ground against a guy like Nicoll, at 25 years old, I just don't trust the grappling of Rocha against a guy like Nicoll. And I keep going back and forth in this one. It was kind of funny. I don't know if you guys picked up on it, but when I was going back and forth with like the light theme and the dark theme, the lighter themes I had done earlier this morning, I actually had Rocha picked as my pick, and then on the dark version, this black one, I had Nicoll picked. Because I've literally gone back and forth on it multiple times. So I think this fight's going to end one of two ways. I feel like Rocha is either going to get a knockout, and it's going to be a highlight reel knockout, and I'm going to be like, okay, they made this fight for a reason. That's why they did this matchup. That makes sense. They're taking the Australia in. And they're bringing him on this card. Like, they're taking the Australian, flying him halfway across the world to fight in Brazil a week or two after they had a card in Australia full of Australians. Why was that match not put in Australia? Who the hell knows? But it seems like, I don't know, it seems like they want Rocha to win. It seems like this match was made in favor of him as opposed to Nicoll. So maybe they think the striking is just going to be so one-sided and lopsided for Rocha in this spot that the grappling, hopefully he can keep it on the feet and put on a masterclass on the feet. Or keep it off the ground, if I said that right, and keep it off the ground, I mean, for Rocha, and keep it on the feet with striking, and hopefully he can put on a striking masterclass. Maybe that's what they think is going to happen here. I don't really know, but I feel like it's one of two ways. I feel like Rocha's going to get the knockout on the feet, or maybe he just dominates 30-27s his way to a decision striking. I feel like he'd probably get the knockout here, or Nicoll, maybe he has some success on the ground. Maybe he's able to land a takedown, because we know Rocha's takedown defense is not good. So maybe Nicoll takes it to the ground. Maybe he wraps up a submission of his own. This could go either way. I got it as a low confidence pick. I almost put it as a trap, but at the same time, I feel like we kind of know exactly how this fight's going to go. We know if Rocha is able to keep it on the feet and he's able to box the entire time, he's going to likely win. If Nicoll's able to land takedowns, grapples his way to a win, whether by decision or by a submission, he's probably going to win. So it's kind of like whoever can impose their will is going to win this fight. So don't have it as a trap for those reasons. Have it as a low confidence pick. And I've gone back and forth. I'm going to wait for weigh-ins to see this too, because I think Rocha's like physical stature, how they face off to each other. Like, you know, if Rocha's going to look kind of small and boy-like, or if he's maybe put on some muscle since his last fight, that'll play a factor for me. So I'm going to wait until weigh-ins for sure for this one. That'll be an important one. But next up, we got Figgy versus Montel Jackson. Now, I had this as a high confidence pick, but it's kind of like the opposite of the Julia Polastri fight. I've gotten more confident with Polastri. As the week's gone on, I've gotten less and less confident in Montel Jackson. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm just letting the public consensus get to my mind. Everyone's saying, oh no, dude, Figgy's going to be back, man, in Brazil. Figgy can't lose. Maybe I'm just letting the public words get into my head. But I'm like looking at this objectively on paper, and I'm like, all right, if you're picking Figgy this week, it's really, you can only pick Figgy because of maybe 1, 2, or 3 things. 1, the level of competition difference. 2, the wrestling. And 3, being in Brazil. So we can count out being in Brazil. I mean, I think it's a valid factor, but in terms of like the real main point, it kind of is though. The reason why I consider this fight being in Brazil a main factor here is because you look at these guys, they are likely going to a decision here. You know, we see, Figgy got fucked up in his last fight and he got submitted. That's its own separate thing. But if you look at Montel Jackson, I was going through his stats. It was something like 36% of his fights end inside the distance. You know, Montel Jackson's going to a lot of decisions. You know, he's taking guys pretty long for the majority of the time. Now, he has those moments where, like, he spark knockouts, Damon Blackshaw. Like, that happens. But statistically, I think it was like 37% of his fights finish inside the distance. So the majority of the time, he's going to a decision. And for Figgy, I think it was about a half. I think it was like about 50-something% of his fights go to a decision as well. So it's going to be close. I likely see this fight going longer. You know, I think it's going to be decently competitive back and forth. However, if it goes to a decision, we're in Brazil. That's why I mentioned that, is like, everyone's going to be going crazy for Figgy. I mean, Montel Jackson is going to be booed unlike any other in this entire card. I mean, Figgy's a legend there. I mean, maybe not quite a Jose Aldo, but I mean, they love their man. So it's going to be very, very lopsided. And the thing, though, I guess besides the Brazil part, we also got the wrestling. Now, if you look on paper, you can look at Montel Jackson's takedown defense record. I'm trying to think. It's higher than you think it is, considering anytime he's lost in the UFC, it's been because he's been out grappled. Now, I was trying to pull this up for you guys. It's 68% takedown defense. And honestly, that sounds better than it really actually is. Because you look at his recent fights, and I was going through these, and I was like, all right, the only times he's lost, it's been twice. Ricky Simone, high-level grappler, high-level wrestler. I mean, Ricky Simone's wrestling very good. So I'm not really too upset about that. It was in 2018. Then his second fight was against Brett Johns, where he's able to land 8 takedowns against Montel Jackson. That's the thing. Those fights, that was 2020, and there's one before that with Ricky Simone was 2018. So he hasn't lost like that in the last 5 years. So on one hand, I'm like, all right, Montel Jackson's on a 6-fight winning streak right now. I'm not too worried about the grappling. But then I was rewatching his fights today, and the ones that really stood out to me is one, his fight against JP Buys. That was annoying, because I'm looking at that, and I'm watching that one back. I literally watched this back like an hour ago. And I was watching this one back, and I'm like, oh my goodness. JP Buys was able to land a takedown and go to full mount against Montel Jackson within the first minute of the first round. He was on top, full mount in 60 seconds. JP Buys is not a Figgy. That was not a good look. Now, it was a couple years ago. I mean, 2021 in September. So, years ago. But at the same time, there's little things like that where I'm like, that's not great. And then the other thing, too, is his fight against Daniel Marcos. Daniel Marcos was able to land 3 takedowns. And he was able to rack up 5 minutes and 45 seconds of control time. That does not rub me the right way either. That worries me because I don't really rate Figgy's wrestling all that high, and I don't think it's great, especially with him moving up to bantamweight within the last couple years. It's not been great. I put some of Figgy's recent stats down because I think that's the other reason why people are really kind of considering him as like a big underdog spot that they're taking this week is the wrestling. But if you look at his wrestling in the bantamweight fights that he's had, it's really not great. I wrote this down in my notes because I wanted to tell you guys this. He went 2 for 5 on takedowns with 31 seconds of control time across 5 total rounds against Corey Sandhagen. Yes, he didn't go the full 5. I know that. But it was a 5-rounder. So across that 5-rounder, he went 2 for 5, 31 seconds of control time, got fucked up by Corey Sandhagen. Before that, he went 2 for 8 on takedowns with 3 minutes of total control time across 5 rounds against Petr Yan, which I know, level of competition, completely different, much higher level. I get it, but 2 for 8, 3 minutes of control time. Then before that, he went 2 for 14 on takedowns with 2 minutes and 30 seconds of control time across 3 rounds against Marlon Vera. Cheeto, not the best look of not being able to take Cheeto down. And Cheeto does have an actually decent takedown defense. But still, 2 for 14, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Not the best. Then before that, he went 1 for 5 on takedowns with 3 minutes and 43 seconds of control time across 3 rounds, even though it didn't go the full 3, against Cody Garbrandt. But it was a washed, old Cody Garbrandt. Not the best look. Then before that, he went 4 out of 7 on takedowns with 4 minutes and 2 seconds of control time across 3 full rounds against Rob Font, who has a whopping 43% takedown defense. So his takedown abilities offensively at bantamweight are not great because he's not a natural bantamweight. He should be a flyweight. It's just he's getting old as shit, and he's like, you know what? I don't want to make the weight cut anymore, which is totally valid. But against a guy like Montel Jackson, who's a natural bantamweight, I mean, Montel Jackson has the best frame to be a bantamweight. He has a great build here. This is where he should be. So he's going against a natural bantamweight here. And Montel Jackson, he actually spends a lot of time within the grappling. I mean, I was looking through his stats. It was something like, I don't know, it was like 50% of the time almost. It was a little bit less than that. I think maybe like 45% of the time he's in some type of clinch, some type of grapple. I mean, he spends a lot of time in the grapple compared to Figgy. He's not as striking from distance as much of a total percentage as I originally thought he was in terms of the actual stats behind his fights. So it was I'm a bit like torn on this one because I'm like, all right, well, Figgy's trying to take down guys who are at a much higher level. Yeah, he's not having a ton of success, but at the same time, we saw JP Buys have success against Montel Jackson in the grappling. We've seen a striker and Daniel Marcos have success too, so I do have those concerns, but at the end of the day, Montel Jackson's still winning these fights. JP Buys fight, yeah, he had success early on. Montel Jackson knocked him down 4 times throughout that fight. You look at the Daniel Marcos fight, he still was able to win that fight, so he's still winning. But he's making it close. That's the Brazil part. That's where the Brazil part comes in. Is like he's making some fights closer than they should be. He's winning them, but now he's going against a legend in Brazil in his hometown. The crowd is going to play a factor here. It's going to be an impact here. And for him at minus like 350 or whatever the hell he's at now, it's stressing me out. But on the other side, you look at their numbers, you look at the stats, you can say really physical build for physical build. I mean, it's pointing to Montel Jackson all day, every day. If this was in the Apex, I'd be a hell of a lot more confident in Montel Jackson. Because you look at these guys' frames. I mean, age-wise, not even close. Montel Jackson, 33. Figgy's, 37, 38 at this point. He's older. He just blew his knee out a few months ago against Corey Sandhagen, so he's probably not even fully recovered, and he's damn sure not been able to have a great training camp leading up to this fight, because that was recent. I mean, that was months ago. That fight was... What was it? It was May of 2025. So there's no way he's had a great camp to really recover and rehab that knee all the way back and now be totally perfectly fine for this at his age. And that's not even mentioning the reach stat here. I mean, oh my goodness. The reach advantage here is going to be crazy. I think it's like something like a 7-inch reach advantage for Montel Jackson in a striking match. It's not going to be close. Montel Jackson is going to be faster. And that's the thing too. People say, well, Figgy has the nice power. When he was a flyweight, he had that power. He doesn't have that same power. It did not carry over to him in bantamweight. And I went through his fights. I tracked his knockdowns for his stats, for his power in his hands. Figgy at flyweight was cracked. He was insane. Because the thing is, at flyweight, he had 14 fights with 11 knockdowns. Nuts. And that included knockdowns over guys like Brandon Moreno and Pantoja. Nice level of knockdowns. I mean, the dude has some nukes in his hands. It didn't carry over to bantamweight, though. You look at bantamweight, when he moved up, he's had 5 fights, but only 1 knockdown. It was over Cheeto. So that power has really not translated. He's going to be at a speed disadvantage. Montel Jackson's hands are extremely quick, and Montel Jackson is well-rounded enough, too, to where if Figgy has been able to take guys down like a Wash Garbrandt or a Rob Font who has terrible takedown defense, Montel Jackson is actually decent in the scrambles, and if he gets taken down, he's able to at least pop back up. And we've seen Figgy too, when he's able to land takedowns, he's not always able to actually control guys. Sometimes they'll pop right back up, like in his fight against like when he fought Corey Sandhagen, he technically landed 2 takedowns in that fight, but he only had 31 seconds of control time. He just wasn't able to do anything with it. And I think against a taller, lengthier guy, a Corey Sandhagen to a Montel Jackson is a similar stylistic matchup here. I mean, they got similar types of styles. I mean, they're both very well-rounded. They can strike, they can grapple, they can wrestle too. Everything is pointing towards Montel in this spot. It's just, you got the potential wrestling upside of like, maybe Figgy's able to have some success, and if he's able to make the rounds close enough, him being in Brazil could give him a slight edge. Maybe he's able to squeak out a round that he probably shouldn't have won, because I'm worried about possibly even the volume of a guy like Montel Jackson if he's not really willing to engage that much, because maybe he's worried about a takedown threat. I just think ultimately, if Figgy's going to win this fight, it's going to be grappling. I mean, that's the only way I see him winning this fight. The only possible route that I can see, and that's why I wanted to make this a high confidence pick. I kept it as my highest medium confidence pick. I should be a high confidence pick, is because the only way that I realistically see Figgy winning this fight is by wrestling. We've seen those holes in Montel Jackson's game in the past, but at 33 years old, this is probably going to be the best we're ever going to see of Montel Jackson, with Figgy coming off a bad knee injury. This is probably going to be the worst version of him that we've ever seen at 37, almost 38 years old. So if the Brazil factor wasn't in this, I'd have him as a high confidence pick. I just don't think his wrestling off a bummed knee that's been hurt recently is going to be as effective as it's going to need to be against a guy like Montel Jackson in order to beat him. So I got Montel Jackson. I like him. Every single stat pretty much leans towards his way. If you break down the numbers behind these guys, which I have done, it's just the only thing I'm worried about is some of the numbers are a bit skewed due to the level of competition differences between these guys. That's my only red flag about this. I don't want to keep ranting because I feel like I said enough here. But I like Montel Jackson. I'd be hesitant. I wouldn't throw him in every single parlay because Figgy, if he's able to get some grappling going, if he's able to make these rounds extremely close, if he's able to land takedowns and actually control Montel Jackson on the ground, he could have some success. I mean, we even saw JP Buys get to his back. And gets a full mount too. I mean, anything could happen. Figgy is still a former champ, very high level guy. Even if he's older, dealing with some injuries, not in his natural weight class, he's not washed. I mean, the Corey Sandhagen fight wasn't great, but at the same time, he still got that dog in him. In Brazil, in his hometown, he's going to be fighting at full force. So this one has me a bit tweaked out, I'm not going to lie. But anyway, that does it for this one. Next up, we got Walker versus Usman. I got this as a medium confidence pick because we've seen from Valter Walker, when he can't land his takedowns, his fight against Lucas, when he was not able to do shit, he got beat by I don't want to say Kaan, but a not great, super high-level fighter. Extremely not great to see, to have a ton of confidence in him. This line is extremely wide. I like betting on Valter Walker as an underdog with huge plus money props if we're taking those subs like in the last couple fights. It worries me a tad just because of anyone that he's fought. Usman, at least he had that. It was either college wrestling or college football. He played, I think it was a wrestling background that he had. So it's like he's pretty decently athletic. He can keep it on the feet. That's probably his best bet here. And I get if Walter can't take it to the ground, it's going to be a problem. And that could be a concern because the striking, it might be close, but I don't think it's going to be. He's not going to look like his money line suggests if he's not able to land takedowns. So I'd be concerned about that. However, I have seen Valter Walker. I've been looking through his Instagram. He looks into being in great shape for this fight. I mean, he looks absolutely shredded. Looks like he's in great physical shape. I'm not worried about him necessarily slowing down or gassing out in this one. I think his cardio should be in tip-top shape compared to some of his older fights. So I like him on this spot. I think in terms of the grappling, he's going to be way ahead of a guy like Usman. Usman's just really not very good anywhere. He's just kind of everywhere. He's just not really. He doesn't really have that one special skill that's going to kind of get him through wins. He's just a big-ass dude. Heavyweight division is kind of not great, so he's just kind of weaseling his way through lower-level competition and kind of getting his way to wins. I just feel like this is only a matter of time for Valter Walker gets in here, takes him to the ground, probably submits his ass. I've heard like Valter Walker saying like, don't bet on my submission prop. I don't know why he's saying that. Maybe that worries me though, in the sense it's kind of like a Marab saying, I want to stand and strike with Corey Sandhagen. Maybe he just sticks, maybe like he's complete bullshit. Maybe he's just capping. But if he's telling the truth here, him saying, I'm not going to try and go for a submission does worry me. Maybe what is he going to do? Is he going to try and go for a ground and pound TKO? Is he going to want to stand and have a point fight strike match for 15 minutes? He's not going to look like a minus whatever he has, 300 or something, if he does that. So that does worry me when fighters start saying some crazy shit online before their fights. But at the same time, Valter Walker should have the ability to take this fight to the ground. Usman's just really not that good. He's not that dangerous. He has no real threat other than you gassing out and him squeaking out a decision. Excuse me. I mean, that's literally the only way I could see him winning this fight. Valter Walker should be the better grappler. He should be able to take it down to the ground. He's the Brazilian fighting in Brazil. The crowd's going to be going crazy for him. Usman would really have to pull this one out of the fire. Hope Valter gasses out. That's probably his best way to win here. Other than that, I could see Valter Walker winning this by a knockout. I could see it by a submission. I could see it by a decision. I feel like the props are kind of landmines for this fight this week, so I would avoid them entirely. But I like Valter Walker. I feel like this is a fight that was made. Some of the matchups in here are kind of a little bit confusing. Not this one. This one seems like there's literally no threat for Usman, or that there's no threat in Usman for Valter Walker to be scared of. The only threat is Valter Walker gassing out or doing some dub shit. I mean, that's about it. So Valter Walker, confident pick. Medium confidence though, because anything can happen. Valter Walker has shown holes in his game, and he's shown us he can shit the bed, and we know that he's shown that before. It could happen. I just think he's a young guy. He's getting better and better. I think he's only like 27 years old too at heavyweight. Kind of insane. He's going to look better and better. I really expect this to be the best version of him that we've seen versus Usman. Bit older. I think he's like 34 at this point, so I don't see his game really improving all that much. But anyway, there's not a whole lot to talk more about this one. Next up, we got Almeida versus Aswell. Now, I got this one as a trap because there are just so many unknowns here. Now, Lucas Almeida, at least he has some UFC level wins, and at least his loss against Danny Silva has looked better. That loss has aged well, but it's just like on the other side, we got Aswell. We don't even know what this guy's really about. We don't know how good this guy's going to be. He takes a UFC debut, short notice step up a weight class against Balaji Oki. Looks pretty damn good. Still lost, but he looks pretty good in that fight considering the circumstances behind it. So on one hand, I'm like, okay, well, we saw him stepping up a short notice up a weight class against a guy like Balaji Oki, who I'm really not high on. I don't think he's all that great. But still a UFC level fighter who's gotten wins. So, I mean, UFC guy, he can hang. So I think that shows like, all right, Michael Aswell, as young as he is at 25, I believe. Let me see his age. I'm pretty sure he's 25 years old. I mean, the sky is the limit with this guy, even though if I don't think he's some world beater at this point in time. What is it? Sorry, my internet's laggy. Yeah, he's 25 years old. So, about to be. Yeah, just turned 25. So he's a young ass dude. So, I mean, for him to be stepping up like this in Brazil, it's going to be very interesting, man. There's just so many unknowns about either of these guys that this one just rubs me the wrong way. Now, for the odds, I think what is it? This one's the pick'em, I believe. I think the Ramos is a bit of a slight favorite. I'm pretty sure these are pick'em. So I have this one as a trap, even though the odds I feel like are pretty accurate. The being in Brazil factor could give Almeida a bit of an edge here. But I mean, just go through his fights. He won a split, or no, it was unanimous against Timmy Kwamba. That win's not really great. And then before that split loss to Danny Silva. It's aged better. And then before that, it's like any level of step up in competition, he's lost. I mean, this Zellhuber and his, Dana White Contender Series, 2021, lost to unanimous there. I guess that win hasn't aged great, but at the same time, Zellhuber's still good. And then, but when he fought Sabatini and Feely, they pretty much fucked him up. So I do have some concerns here. I think for the line where it is, I do have it as a trap, but at the same time, I could have put this one as a low confidence pick. The reason why I had this one as a trap too, I will say, this is one of those where I'm picking Almeida because of where the fight is. I mean, this is in Brazil. It's a coin toss, so gun to my head, I'll pick the Brazilian in Brazil. If this was in the Apex in the US, I would pick Aswell. So I'm going back and forth on this. I'm going to wait until weigh and see how both of these guys are looking. See if Aswell coming across halfway across the world or whatever. I mean, if he's going to look good, we'll see how he is on the scales. That'll have a somewhat of a factor in terms of who I'm picking. Because I keep going back and forth on this one, but gun to my head, I'll take Almeida. But Next up, we got Diniz versus Pinto. Honestly, this is a medium confidence pick for me. It could be low because I could see either guy winning this at about a pick'em odds. I'd say it's pretty fair as well. You know what I mean? You could even put this as a trap. Who the hell knows? The thing is, though, I feel like when you look at some of this matchmaking here, this matchup makes sense. This one makes sense. You know, the whole, what's his name? Sorry. Ramos versus Ofli. I'm like, I guess that could make sense. Rocha versus Nicoll, I'm like, I don't know if that would make sense. Diniz versus Pinto, this makes sense. You know, you look at a guy like Pinto, they're giving him to Diniz for this setup in the spot. I'm not saying it's like a layup spot. It'll be competitive, but it's not going to be, if the Brazilian man in Diniz loses this fight, it's not like it's going to be a shitty matchup where, you know, he was climbing an uphill battle. It's an even fight where he has a damn good shot to win. This is going to be a striking match. We know Pinto wants to keep it on the feet. He's not going to want to take it to the ground. We know Diniz, he has that kickboxing background. That's where he wants to keep the fight too. This is going to be a striking match on the feet. It's going to be back and forth. The reason why, you know, with Diniz, the reason why I'm picking him, one, besides the Brazil part, we've seen, yes, he has grappling holes in his game that have been exposed. Marcin Tybura fucked him up, and that was not a great look. However, the good takeaway that I got from that fight is Diniz has that dog in him. He has that dog in him. He almost has that, like, I'm going to say something vulgar, but I'm not going to say it. Where he almost has that, like, I don't give a damn. I'm going to just keep pushing. You literally have to kill this man to put him out, which I love. If you're betting on someone, you want to see that. He's durable. He can last. He literally got that knockout loss. It's just because he was busted up. I think he got, like, concussed pretty bad in that fight. And he was all bloodied up. His face was jacked up. That's about, like, as bad as it could have been for a doctor stoppage. I mean, it was not great. So he didn't want to quit, though. He was pissed when they called it off. He was pissed. He was mad. He's like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't want to quit. That's something I want to see. But on the one hand, the grappling did get exposed in that fight. But on the other hand, he has that dog in him. And that's the only time we've really seen him look terrible. Yeah, in his last fight, he still won against the short, I don't think it was a short notice step up. I don't know. Maybe that fight was a short notice step up. The guy that they just took, the regional scene guy, I'm blanking on his name. He ended up winning that fight. I remember people got burned on that because they took him by knockout and he just couldn't knock the dude out. I'm blanking on his fucking name. What's the guy's name? Alvin Hines. Yeah, that guy ended up failing drug tests right after, though. So no wonder he couldn't knock him out. I mean, he was juiced up for that fight. So he still looked good in that fight. He was able to show off, like, all right, I'm a step ahead of these regional bums. All right, I don't want to call him a bum, but at the same time, like, all right, this guy was on gear and he still kind of ran through his ass. So even if he couldn't knock him out against a guy like Pinto, you look at his fights. We can compare, like, all right, Jhonata Diniz, he's not a world beater. When he goes against grapplers who can really push a pace and take him down, he can struggle. But even against, like, when he fought Carl Williams, he still beat his ass. Austin Lane, he messed him up. Round 2 KO there. It's like he's beating guys that he should beat. You look at Mario Pinto. Yes, he fought, what's his name? Austin Lane as well, too. When he fought Austin Lane, that first round was a nightmare. I mean, they both went tit for tat, chin for chin, and he almost got fucked up by Austin Lane. That does not give me any confidence. I do not want to bet on someone who I watch their fight against Austin Lane, and they almost get chinned and get put out. I mean, they both knocked each other down. Literally, the stats on that fight are insane. They both had one knockdown each, and Austin Lane outstruck Mario Pinto 32-13. Getting outstruck by Austin Lane is crazy work, and he's so young too. How old is Mario Pinto? He is, 27 years old, so at heavyweight, he is going to look better and better and better, whereas Jhonata Diniz is a little bit older, more experienced, but I don't know how much he's going to improve. But the thing is, we don't have to worry about Jhonata Diniz getting his ground game tested in this fight. We don't have to worry about that at all. We don't have to worry about that. It's going to be on the feet. It's going to be striking. Give me the guy with more experience. He has that kickboxing background. I'm pretty sure he was in Glory. I'm going to take that over a guy who went to war with Austin Lane, went knockdown for knockdown against fucking Austin Lane. I can't pick Pinto. There's no way I can pick him. He's probably going to be a bit faster here in terms of the raw speed. Power could be close, but I would rather lean Diniz ever so slightly in terms of the power. Two big guys going. They're going to be swinging. I could see someone getting knocked out. I could see a boring point fight back and forth. I could easily see this going over. I could see it going either way, but I do think that Diniz should be able to use his veteran savviness and his experience to his advantage here. He should be able to be the more technical striker against a guy like Pinto. I think he should be able to do it. I think he should be able to get the job done here. Although medium confidence pick, just because I really wasn't going back and forth in this one. There was no doubt in my mind about picking Pinto. Like, I was definitely picking Diniz from the get-go. Nothing was really going to change my mind here. Like, You know what I mean? So I have it as a medium confidence pick, although I do think the money line is pretty accurate at this being very close, like about to pick them. Either guy could win the spot. But if gun in my head, if I have to take one or the other, I'm not even torn like that on this one, but taking the Brazilian in Brazil does feel good. Not mad about that at all. So that does it for this one. Next up, we got Oliveira versus Lacerda. Easy pick. I'm not even going to waste your time talking about this one. Yeah, Oliveira is just ass. Not Dubronx. Not that Oliveira. Not that Oliveira. Simon Oliveira is... He's just not good. He's not good. He's not good. You could throw me pretty much anyone against Simon Oliveira. I'm picking them. And they're going to be a medium confidence pick. You throw Julia Polastri in there, I'm picking her as a medium confidence pick. It's just one of those. We're not even going to waste our time here. All right, next up. We got the lock of the card. We got Luque versus Alvarez. Now, I do like Vicente Luque. I think he's a cool dude. I like him as a person. That being said, in terms of his health of his brain and his fight years behind him, he's a boomer. He's extremely old. He is probably 80 years old in fight years. He's taken a ton of damage, been through wars. And who do you not want to fight when you've been through those types of battles? Yoel Alvarez. That's who the fuck you don't want to fight. That is who you don't want to fight. Yoel Alvarez. Now we're at 170. Oh my goodness gracious. He's going to have even more power in his hands. In terms of how he gets this done, who knows? I'll tell you what though. Vicente Luque is not making it all 3 rounds. I'd be very surprised if he makes it all 3 rounds. Yoel Alvarez, pretty much by whatever the hell he wants. I mean, he could knock him out. He could submit him. We just saw Kevin Holland whoop his ass in his last fight. And that win has not aged well. Or that loss for Luque has not aged well at all. Yoel Alvarez is a real special talent in my eyes. I think this is the best version of him that we're ever going to see. Stepping up to welterweight, I love it. He was a huge lightweight, and that could affect his chin. You know, we saw Sarukian get him out of there. Now at 170, oh, it's over. Yoel Alvarez, maybe, I don't know if he'll be fine for the belt, but I'm a big Yoel Alvarez fan. So maybe I'm biased in this one, but this was a guaranteed lock spot. I mean, there was no way. I don't think Vicente Luque has any shot of winning this fight besides Yoel Alvarez blowing his MCL out or ACL. He's going to be behind in the striking in terms of the speed and the power. I don't trust his grappling as much. I mean, Vicente Luque does have a good ground game. Yoel Alvarez he's a step ahead. Dudes don't survive against him. I mean, out of all of his fights, I think he's only, been to a decision like once? It's insane. This man runs through fucking everyone, man. Yoel Alvarez is the real deal. And I'm full-heartedly backing him. This is like a super lock this week. I love Yoel Alvarez in the spot. Weird matchup. Well, he was supposed to fight someone else. I know Vicente Luque actually stepped in. I forget who he was originally. He was supposed to fight BSD, I feel like. Or maybe it was someone else. I'm blanking on that. So I know this matchup was made a little bit more kind of impromptu, but... Oh, wait, no, it was Luque was supposed to fight Ponzi. That's what it was. Oh, Luque got fucked here. Yeah, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, Vicente Luque is being sacrificed. Yoel Alvarez is, I don't want to say it's as bad as Atabagatier with the Vines fight like last week. I don't want to say it's that bad because it's not. This could go to a second round. You know, maybe Yoel drags him into deep waters, second or third round. He's getting him out of there, though. I will say, too, just Luque with his head, like, he literally suffered from a brain bleed, like, a year ago, or less than that ago. Like, he should not be fighting like this anymore. They need to just give him a couple easy wins and just give him a coast. I mean, like, at this point, I know this never happened, but at this point, it almost feels like they should give Vicente Luque, they should give him, like, the Guardian caps that NFL players should wear? Like, they should give Vicente Luque a Guardian cap. I mean, it's kind of crazy that how you can have that much of damage done to your brain and they keep letting you fight. If you have a brain bleed, I feel like you should probably stop fighting at that point. Yoel Alvarez via pain and despair. I'll tell you what, that's the official call. It's not going to be pretty. But Yoel Alvarez, extremely confident pick. Got him as the lock this week. Next up, as a trap, we got Phil Hill versus Carpenter. Now, the reason I have this one as a trap is simple. If this was in the Apex, I'd probably be picking Carpenter. I don't want to say the Brazil factor is going to, like, make this huge of a difference, because I know I've talked about it in like a lot of different fights, but this one in particular, I think it will play a factor because we got two good grapplers, and it could be like Clay Carpenter's fight against Tagir Ulanbekov. It could be like that where two high-level grapplers, they're going to grapple. That could definitely happen. Or let's say it doesn't. If the grappling cancels out by whatever means, this is going to be a striking match. If it's a striking match, it could look damn close, because I don't think either of these guys are necessarily great strikers on the feet. I like Clay Carpenter's physicality. I like him to make it nitty gritty on the ground. I like that more so from him. But against a guy like Phil Ho, I mean, they're both just high level grapplers, man. I like both their submission abilities. They're both dangerous on the ground. The thing that worries me about Phil Ho in this, or just in general, is that he's definitely a grappler. Like, he's not mad when he gets to the ground. Like, if he's on his back and he's being controlled, someone's on top, he's going to be hunted for submissions. You know, like, he could go for submissions over positions. So if you're betting on that, you could be a bit concerned. That's not the best thing you'll want to see from a guy that you're putting your coin on. But I'm like, these guys are just high level. It could go either way. And that's why I should have had this as a low confidence pick. The only reason I have this as a trap is because I'm literally picking Phil Ho purely because this is in Brazil. If it's going to be extremely close, which I assume it will be, I don't see either guy getting finished. I think this is going to go to a decision. I think it's going to be a whole lot of grappling back and forth, a lot of scrambles, and it's 3 close rounds in Brazil with the Brazilian. I can't say I would be surprised if Phil Ho won a unanimous decision, even if it's close back and forth, 29-28. That's why I have this as a trap, purely just because of the situation where we're at. If it was in the Apex, I might pick Clay Carpenter, because I like both these guys. I think they're both very good. They're both very talented. I like Carpenter. You know, he's a bit younger. I think he has a bit more potential in terms of getting better and better. He has not even hit his prime yet, and he's going tit for tat. Looked really good against Tagir Ulanbekov, who's one of the Khabib boys. So I like Carpenter, but I like Phil Ho too. He's very good, underrated. In his last fight, there was a whole lot of BS going on. He said he was injured for that fight, and then Nascimento said he was injured. They just both apparently fought on injuries. I don't know what the hell was going on between the two of them there, so that fight could be a little bit of a trap too, in sense of how you're judging that one for this matchup. But anyway, I got Phil Ho, but I'm not confident in this pick at all. I could go either way. So next up, we got Petrino versus Peterson. Now, I got this as a high confidence pick. The more I've watched this one, I looked into this one, I really am thinking, I'm like, all right, how is Petrino going to lose? You know, we've seen him when he's lost. All right, he's done dumb shit, jumped right into a sub against Anthony Smith. That was stupid. That's fixable. That's a fixable. Crafty vet got his ass. Okay, learn that lesson. Now, he's fighting Dustin Jacoby. Winning that fight. 3rd round, gets sloppy. All it takes is one shot. Crafty vet catches his ass, gets him out of there. He was going to win that fight, though. I think he was going to win that fight. So, you look at those two losses, you're like, all right, at least they're at light heavyweight, lower weight class. Now he's stepping up. He's looking good at heavyweight. Fucked up Austin Lane. I like that. He was able to control him on the ground, because that's really the only way that Peterson, in my mind, wins this fight is by grappling. That's the only way I can see him winning this fight. I like Petrino's size. I like his speed, and I like the power in his hands. We've seen Peterson struggle with the knockout power. A guy like Shamil Gaziev pretty much messed him up. It was round 1 knockout there. So I am more so worried about the grappling side. You know, Peterson is really not great anywhere. He's just kind of all right everywhere. And against a guy like Petrino, I just think he's slightly better than him just about everywhere. I mean, it's like the one edge Peterson could have here is the grappling, and I get it, but I just think tit for tat on the striking on the feet, I think Petrino's going to be a lot faster, a lot stronger, and hit with a lot more power. And I like him at heavyweight. If you compare these two guys too, I was looking at both their stats. They both were weighing in most recently at 249, I believe, or 250, like right on the dot there. You look at Petrino at a 250 versus a Peterson at 250, completely different guys. Petrino is jacked and cut, and like he's like a whole different fighter. Him versus like his lightweight self and heavyweight self, two different guys. I mean, it's completely night and day difference. And you look at Thomas Peterson, he's just fighting for fun. Not fighting for fun on the side, but he's not a full-time fighter. He's still got a full-time job. He's a bit tubby. He's a bit full, not in the best way. And at heavyweight, at this size, it's more so of him just, I don't want to cut weight, man. I feel like that's where he's at. Whereas Victor Petrino, now at this size, man, he's still lean at 250. Absolutely nuts how he's this big and this lean still. So size for size, strength for strength, I actually like him in this spot. And I had a couple things on my notes. There's one point I wanted to talk about the grappling upside on this one too. But yeah, one thing that stood out to me between these two in terms of the stats, I had my notes, so I had to pull this up. I want to be able to let you guys know what I wrote, because I want to talk about this for this fight. The wrestling is like the main thing that worries me here. You know, I think if this is a competitive striking match back and forth, I like Petrino a lot. You know, I like him pretty much in terms of speed, power, accuracy, volume. Like, I like it. I like him here. I think he'll be a step ahead, especially in Brazil. I love it. It's bread and butter. I love that. The only threat that I'm worried about with Peterson that could be a potential problem for Petrino is the wrestling. So I was like, all right, I went through his UFC fights. I broke down the numbers on him. And as I'm looking at him, I'm like, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought it might have originally been. I'm like, through his recent fights with Peterson, he landed 9 takedowns against Montel. And a lot of people are saying like, okay, like that's could be a huge red flag here. What if he could do the same thing against Petrino? But you look at it, and to be fair, to Peterson's defense, he landed 9 takedowns with 13 minutes and 49 seconds of control time, which was pretty damn wild. However, other guys have been able to do that to him throughout his career, and his takedown defense is not great. I mean, literally, you look at it, Mace has a takedown defense of 46%. That is pissed. That is really bad. And then you look through his fights too. I was like looking through his record. I'm like, all right, other guys have been able to do the same thing, or is that a one-time thing? No. I was like looking, guys like Augusto Sakai, they were able to control Dontel Mays for 9 minutes, even though he only landed Sakai, he only landed 1 out of 2 total takedowns. He only landed 1 takedown. He was able to land 9 minutes of control time. So it's like, you can take this guy down. You can hold him against the cage. Dontel Mays, you just cannot trust him. You cannot trust his ability to have any type of grappling success. So I'm looking at that fight and a little bit of salt, I'm like, oh shit, that's not as good as I thought it was on paper, and then before that, first round, he gets knocked out by Shamil Gaziev, and I looked at the takedown numbers there. He did land a takedown, technically. He got 1 for 1 on his attempts, but he only had 8 seconds of control. So I'm like, all right, even if he lands it, not really getting a ton of control. Shamil Gaziev is good though, so don't get me wrong, that's a bit of a outlier. Then before that, he went 2 for 5 on takedowns against Mohammed Usman, who has a 66% takedown defense, so a little bit better, but he only managed to rack up 1 minute and 1 second of control time. 1 minute and 1 second. So I'm like, all right, if he's taking guys down, they can at least get back up. And against a guy like Petrino, who I really like with the hands and the speed and the boxing, I think he's going to have a big advantage there. I don't mind. Like, even if Peterson's able to land a takedown, I don't think he's going to be able to control a guy like Petrino like he was able to do against Dontel Mays. It's just not the same. And then before that even, he went 1 for 6 on takedowns against Jamal Pogues. Jamal Pogues ain't a world beater, and he went 1 for 6 on takedowns against him too. So I'm like, looking through the lines, I'm like, okay, maybe Peterson's grappling, maybe his offensive wrestling is not as good as we thought it was, and maybe it's not a big of a threat, and that just made me even more confident in Petrino. I'm like, as long as Petrino can keep it on the feet and he doesn't gas out, he should be fine here, because Peterson really I know he has a ton of knockouts on his record, but I just don't think he has a ton of knockout power. It really hasn't translated all that well to the UFC, and it's just not something I'm worried about. Petrino, we saw him get knocked out when he got caught against Dustin Jacoby, but that was more so he was really he lost focus. It was kind of him being dumb and just kind of getting lackadaisical because he was up and he kind of started to lose focus, and then all it took was one shot from a crafty vet to put him out. I think in his home, Brazil, he's going to look damn good. He's not going to slip up. The crowd's going to be going crazy for him. If these rounds are even close, I like the volume. I like the size. I like the power. I like the strength. I like the speed advantage of Petrino on the feet. He has crisp hands, and I'm not worried about the grappling. Submission for submission game of these two, Petrino could submit a Peterson. I wouldn't be completely mind-blown if he subbed his ass. I mean, anything could happen here. Peterson, when he loses, he does get finished. So anything can happen, but the more I look at this, I'm like, the only way I see Peterson winning this fight is by grappling and landing takedowns, getting his way to a win. In Brazil, with the crowd going crazy, they want to see Petrino get a huge highlight reel knockout. I'd be damn surprised if they let him just wet blanket his way to a win, because Peterson's really not doing a ton of ground and pound. I mean, if he's taking you down, he's going to hug you. So I like Petrino in the spot a lot. And at the end of the day, though, I know I have it as a high confidence pick, and I'm like, I could have put it as medium, but I'm playing a little bit ballsier, putting a little higher up, because, I mean, it's relatively low-level heavyweights. Anyone could get knocked the hell out. I mean, if Peterson somehow landed a knockout against Petrino and knocked his ass out, I can't say I'd be mind-blown. But this is one of those spots where I just don't see that happening. I feel like Peterson's realistic only way to win this fight would be to grapple his way to a win. Kind of like Figgy. Honestly, they're kind of in the same boat. I guess maybe that's why I got it as a high-confidence pick, because I'm betting on the Brazilian side with the Petrino versus I don't think Figgy's going to get it. So maybe that was a subconscious thing I did there. It was not intentional. But anyway, that does it for this one. Enough rambling. Finally, we got Charles Oliveira versus Mateusz Gamrot. Now, I have this as a trap for a reason. Motherfuckers are doubting Charles Du Bronx, man. Pause for impact. Pause for dramatic effect there. Motherfuckers are really doubting Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira has fought in Brazil in the UFC, I believe a total of 7 times. Or it could be 5, 6. It's multiple times. His total record is like 13 times that he's fought in Brazil. He's undefeated. Dude, Bronx doesn't fucking lose in Brazil. We think Gamrot's going to be the guy to do it? I'd be very hesitant. The reason why I put this as a trap is because I wanted to make this like a siren to hopefully you guys, anyone's out there that's thinking about betting this fight. I don't think there's any value on Gamrot. I don't think there's any value there. I mean, what has Gamrot done to prove that he can beat a former champ like Oliveira? What the hell has he done? I mean, we can go through his recent fights. He is so close with all of his fights. He's not that dangerous. He's just trying to really point fight his way through control time and landing takedowns and try to win fights like that. Now he's trying to do that against Bronx in fucking Brazil. I just can't see it happening. I mean, you go through his recent fights. It's all right. I guess we can start from the bottom. I mean, yeah, he beat Jeremy Stephens, Diego Ferreira. Cool. Arman Tsarukyan knocks him down. Arguably, he lost that fight. Yes, he technically won a unanimous decision. You could have easily said he lost that fight against Arman Tsarukyan. Easily could have given it against him. Beneil Dariush stuffs the takedown attempts of Gamrot. Gamrot has no fucking answer. Loses clear as day. That Beneil Dariush, that win hasn't aged terribly. No disrespect to Dariush. He's still a legend. However, hasn't aged the best. Then after that, Jalen Turner knocks him down. You could have argued he lost that fight too. Split decision. He barely got that by the fucking, he barely got it by inches. He won that fight, a split decision in a fight that he got knocked down in. And then next up, Fiziev gets hurt. That's not a win. That doesn't count as a win. Next up, he beats a fucking 40-year-old RDA, where RDA knocked him down in that fight. So he gets a unanimous decision there. Then it gets Dan Hooker. The public gets to his head and they're like, you're boring as shit. You just want to have takedowns. And then Gamrot gets all butthurt and he's like, no, I can strike. I swear I can strike. Dan Hooker whoops his ass. I guess it was a split decision. Dan Hooker won that fight. So I'm like, the last couple fights, and then it was, the recency bias could be with Ludovic Klein. He ran through Ludovic Klein. However, Ludovic Klein, and I think Ludovic Klein was good. I actually picked Ludovic Klein in that spot, and I was surprised it was that lopsided. I thought Ludovic Klein could have done a little bit better. I thought he might have hurt Gamrot at one point. I thought he could have had a little bit more success. So I will say I was wrong on that prediction. But, that's the only real good win where it's like, you got it, Gamrot. You won there, pal. That he's had in a long-ass time. I mean, other than that, he's not looking like a world beater. He's chinny, and he just point fights his way to wins. I mean, he has to rely on takedowns. And now, he's fighting against, if you're not claiming Jose Aldo is the most popular fighter from Brazil, Charles do Bronx is at least top 3. I mean, Anderson Silva could have it too. I mean, regardless, do Bronx is top of the top. The crowd is going to be going absolutely fucking crazy. Who does everyone hate, including the UFC, the people of Brazil? No one wants Gamrot to win here. I mean, if Gamrot wins this fight, he is going to have to do a perfect wrestling performance for 5 full rounds where his chin doesn't get cracked. I'm telling you this right now. In Brazil, if Gamrot's chin gets touched and he's wobbly and he's hurt, the round's gone. The round's gone. He could have 4 minutes, 30 seconds of control time. He gets his chin touched, it's over. It's over. So he's going to lose the round if anything like that happens. And he has 5 full rounds, which you could argue, all right, that could give him an advantage in the spot. I think it hurts him. It gives him more opportunities to get that chin cracked. He's not going to submit Charles. I don't see him knocking Charles out. He doesn't have that power. He's not dangerous. So I don't see him getting him out of there. If at any point he gets hurt, I mean, you look at Charles's fight against Tsarukyan. If that went 5, he would have won that fight. I mean, he arguably won that fight. He was in the position to end that fight more often than Tsarukyan was. You could argue Charles won that damn fight. I don't know why people are doubting Charles this much. I mean, I get it. Like, you can look at it from the sense of, all right, Gamrot can just wrestle his way to a win. He could do that. Tsarukyan did the same thing against Charles. That could happen. Tsarukyan's better than Gamrot. Let's be real here. And in terms of the submission abilities too, Charles is a lot more dangerous than Arman Tsarukyan. He's a lot more dangerous. He can land he has a much nastier submission game. Yes, I know Gamrot's never been finished. And even if this goes long, maybe if it goes long, it could go all 5. I think at some point, I like Charles' striking. He has that nice Muay Thai base. He has the power in his hands. He could hurt Gamrot. And I'm telling you guys, we know Gamrot hasn't been submitted before, but we've seen Charles in the past, man. Hurts guys like Gaethje, submits his ass. He submitted Poirier. I mean, are we doubting the resume of Charles Oliveira? Yes, they might be a couple years ago. I get it. He hasn't been champ in a couple years. If he hurts Gamrot's head spinning, Charles Oliveira, of anyone, could just wrap around that back. I mean, he almost got Sarukian out of there, and he wouldn't knock him like he would knock a Gamrot. He wouldn't touch his chin like that, and he almost got Sarukian out. Let alone what he could do to a wobble, dazed, and confused Mateusz Gamrot in Brazil with his people cheering for him. I mean, the refs, I hope they're paid off. I hope. Pay the refs off. Let our boy do Bronx get a win in Brazil. He's never lost in Brazil ever in his entire career. Who the hell has Gamrot beat? What the hell has Gamrot done to make him a favorite in this spot? I mean, I get the concerns of Charles coming after a knockout loss. I totally get it. Against a guy like Gamrot, though, it's a perfect matchup. I would have much rather him taking this fight than a Fiziev. I mean, I guess maybe he'd have a better shot of submitting a Fiziev. But I don't know. I think Charles can win this spot, man. I really think he can win the spot. This is a very winnable fight for Charles Oliveira. And it's not like Big Ank versus Poatan. Like, it doesn't feel like that. You know, like, Big Ank was the more well-rounded fighter. If he could really impose his game plan, it was hard to see a way for Poatan to really correct the outcome from the first fight. You know what I mean? Like, I was a little bit more like on that board here, but this, I'm looking at this, I'm like, I'm just as biased for Charles as I am for Poatan. Like, I love them both, and I want to see them both win. But I'm like, I really think, bias aside here, like, I think Charles Oliveira has a good shot. And like, I'm picking him. If you could throw Charles Oliveira against John Jones, I'm going to pick Charles Oliveira. I mean, like, the only time I pick against him is like Ilia Topuria, I think, because then it was like, there was just an actual, like, realistic fight. You know what I mean? Like, that was, yeah, Ilia was going to win that. But against fucking Gamrot, I'm not going to rant forever about this one. My mind's made up. I feel like all the points have probably been said already. But it's just a matter of, I want to let you guys know, I like Charles Oliveira in the spot. I think he gets the job done. He can win by knockout. He can win by submission. He can get to a decision. Mateusz Gamrot, for him to win this fight, that's like the main thing about this fight. Because I know this is a longer video. I didn't do a full card breakdown this week, so I'm yapping a little bit longer with the locks and traps. The thing about this one is, for Gamrot to win this fight, he's going to clearly have to win 3 rounds minimum. I mean, he's going to have to dominate with the grappling and not get hurt at all. Like, he's going to have to rack up 4 minutes plus of control time, not get his chin cracked, and pray that there's no robbery. Like, that's how he's going to win this fight. Like, that's how he has to win this fight. Whereas Charles Oliveira, he could get a robbery decision win. You never know. We saw Dan Hooker do the same. I think Dan Hooker won that fight. But close fight either way, it's going to go Charles' way. That's my point of that. And Charles is more dangerous on the feet, on the ground. He's more dangerous everywhere. Gamrot is, his only shot is to win a perfect wrestling match for 25 minutes. I don't see it happening. Charles Oliveira is the pick. Got it as a trap. I wouldn't be completely surprised if Charles does lose this fight. If Gamrot does a perfect wrestling match for 25 minutes and he wins a decision, I can't say I'd be completely mind blown, but at the same time, Gamrot has not earned the respect and with his resume to be a favorite here. Charles Oliveira has fought the much higher level guys. He's been champion. He has the much better resume. Now he's fighting in his hometown. He doesn't lose in Brazil. Give me Charles do Bronx all day, every day. So, anyway, guys, that does it for the video. I know this one's getting a little bit longer, so I want to wrap it up. So, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for so much for all the love on the videos. Thank you guys for all the support. I think this is the first video I've made since hitting 1,000 subs. So, thank you guys for all the love with the subscriptions. We finally hit 1K. So, I want to say thank you guys once again for getting me there. So, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to grow. Hit the next benchmark. I don't know, 2K maybe. I don't know. Yeah, on our way there. So, thank you guys for all the love. Thank you guys for all the support on the videos. It means a ton. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm going to get this one out to you guys. We're going to have our weigh-in videos coming up. We're going to have the best bets breakdown video coming. So yeah, stay tuned for those. But in the meantime, I'm going to get this video out to you guys. So yeah, in the meantime, it's your boy Jacob from Topside MMA, and I'll see y'all soon. So peace.